Every once in a while, you meet your closest work friends and colleagues for a chai or over a beer, and eventually, without fail, the conversation goes into your workplace. And the conversation will be about, oh, I don't get it, yeah, I'm doing everything right, but I don't get promoted. And then it starts to get into a bitching session of how unfortunate things are. It's office politics, man. He's good at sucking up to the boss. The manager isn't very supportive. He only pushes people he likes. That is favoritism. The culture here doesn't reward real work, man. And before you know it, the entire session turns into a roast of the person who got promoted or about the bad leadership decisions in the company. It is all about how they don't deserve it, how they're all talk, how you are actually so much better. Everyone nods, everyone agrees for 10 minutes. In that conversation, bitching about the whole situation you are in feels good. But then you finish up the session, you go back to your desk, and you're sitting with the exact same question you walked in with for that catch up. Because blaming the system might feel satisfying for that time being, for the short period, right? But it has never, not once, gotten anyone promoted. I'll give you three things that does get you promoted. But before we get there, for those of you who are new to this channel, my name is Rakesh Ravindran. I'm a leadership strategist and I'm a career coach. In this channel, I speak about different strategies for you to grow and become successful in your career. And the main objective here is that you find financial independence through the work that you already are doing, but making sure you have the right kind of strategy to get you moving forward as quickly as possible. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. I post a new strategy every week. Hit the like button and the bell icon and share it with someone who you think might benefit from it. But don't share it with people who you are competing with at your workplace. Let this be the edge you need. Now, getting back to the point we were discussing today, let me tell you, your skills aren't the problem. Your work ethic isn't the problem. The system isn't even the real problem. It's just an easy place to send the blame. And I'm not talking about your direct manager. I'm talking about the people who sit in the calibration meeting, the people who decide which engineers, which managers, which leaders get the next level. They don't know you, not because they are bad people, but because you have never given them a reason to remember you by. But the truth is, and you may not like listening to me saying this, you can't control whether they notice you if you don't show up on their radar intentionally. The three moves I'm about to share with you today, they're not about being loud or being aggressive or being political. They're about being strategic in how you do any of those things. But most of all, it is about how you communicate. They're about making sure the right people actually see the work you're doing. And here's what's interesting about the whole thing, right? The people who got promoted ahead of you, they weren't necessarily smarter than you. They just knew these rules by accident or by mentors who helped them with it. So today, I am going to teach them to you so you can succeed. All right, let's start with move number one. Picture this. You finally get a meeting with someone senior, someone who actually matters. Your skip level manager or a department head or someone from the executive team. You have prepared, you know your stuff inside out. You start explaining, you give them the context, you walk them through how you arrived at this conclusion. You show all your thinking because you want them to see the depth of your work, right? You want to prove competence. And about a minute in, you notice a problem. They break eye contact. They check their phone. They look at their watch. And in that moment, you feel like somebody punched you in the gut because you realize you're losing them. But you don't know how to stop that. So you speed up, you get nervous, so you add more details. You try to prove even harder that you know what you're talking about. Does that sound familiar? Yes. Here's what you need to understand. In an executive suite, over explaining isn't a personality quirk. It is the number one killer of your leadership presence. It makes you look like a worker bee, not a decision maker. When you over explain, what senior leader hears is, I am not confident enough to just tell you the answer. I need you to follow my entire thinking process to believe me. You're like, you're begging them to believe me, right? I've gone through this, so please believe me. You're essentially asking them to do the work of extracting the signal from the noise, and they won't. They just will zone out because they just don't have the time for it. So here's the move. Before your next meeting with anyone senior, write down one sentence. You don't need three bullet points or a whole paragraph, just one sentence. It's very simple. It goes something like this: I recommend X because it will result in Y. That's it. Lead with the recommendation and the outcome of that recommendation, and then shut up. If they want the detail, they'll ask. And here's what's interesting: when you lead with the conclusion, you are giving them the punchline ahead. Remember, you're not competing as a stand up comedian, so you don't have to build up to the punchline. When you follow this method of recommendation and outcome, they almost always do ask a follow up question. That's a conversation, that is an engagement you want. They're now interested. That's what makes you look like someone who thinks at the strategic level. But when you lead with the explanation, the reasoning, your thought process, and how difficult it was for you to get to this idea, their mind just checks out of there. So the move is simple: recommendation first, that is followed with the outcome of that recommendation. Get to the reasoning only if they ask for it. That one shift changes how the room sees you. This signals that you're confident in your strategic thinking. Now, let's go to move number two. This is the one that separates the people who get remembered from the people who get forgotten, right? Now, picture this. Stay with me. Yeah. You are in an elevator or the corridor, or you are walking to your desk, and you run into someone senior, someone who could actually change your career trajectory. Maybe the VP, maybe the department head, maybe someone from the executive team, a CXO, right? In that moment, you have maybe 30 seconds. You may have heard this as the elevator pitch, but this one's a little different. Stay with me on that, right? Most people in this situation do one of two things. Either they freeze and mumble, they'll be, hi, sir, right? And escape, or they panic and try to impress and end up vomiting their entire project status in one breath. They're blurting things out that isn't relevant. The other way of saying this is that either you have a constipation of the brain or diarrhea of the mouth. Either one of those two happens, and both are bad, right? So, question is, what does the right 30 seconds actually look like? Let me give you the formula. It's three parts, right? And you can use it in verbatim, right? Part one: acknowledge. One sentence that shows you know who they are and what matters to them. This doesn't mean you say something like, sir, amazing presentation. Be real, right? Be specific and human when you talk to them. Something like, I saw your note on the Q3 numbers. Really interesting insight on the attrition numbers. That's all. You get them curious and interested because you made them feel good about themselves with a simple sentence, right? Now, part two of that is to connect with them. One sentence that links something you are working on to something they care about. So, in the first sentence, right? It could be something like, we are seeing the same pattern in our team's data as well. Notice what you did there is you're not asking for anything. You're not pitching for yourself. You are just connecting a dot for them. Again, you build their curiosity with that. And then now, part three, a clean close is what you need. What I mean is to say something like, would love to share what we are finding when you have, say, about 15 minutes. And that's it. Stop. Don't have to say anything else. Now, you have created a future conversation with that last sentence. No pressure, no desperation, just an open door. Three sentences is all it takes, and that's it. Here's why this works. Senior leaders spend their entire day in meetings where people either want something from them or are scared of them. When you show up as someone who's neither needy nor nervous, and you are just being professional, relevant, and brief, you stand out for them instantly. You become the person they actually enjoy running into at the coffee machine. And here's the critical part: if they say, sure, let's find time, you send a calendar invite within 24 hours. Don't wait for a week or until you have perfectly prepared. Don't say something like, I'll check my calendar later. Don't do that. Just book their calendar within 24 hours while the conversation is still warm in their minds. Most people never send that invite, and that's why most people stay invisible. If you are thinking, oh, this is not significantly big enough for me to have a connect with them, and this is not going to be impactful enough, don't worry about any of those things. They don't want it to be impactful either. They're busy people. Sometimes they prefer to keep it simple. You have something to gain and nothing to lose. And that's the whole point. All right, now let's move to the third move. This is a big one, by the way. You have been operating on a strategy of hope so far, right? Hope that if you work hard enough, someone will notice. Hope that your manager will fight for you during calibration. Hope that the appraisal cycle will be different this time. Let me say this as clearly as I can. You cannot outwork a system that doesn't see you. You have to out strategize it. Here is what the people who got promoted ahead of you understand that you may be missing. They treat their careers like a project, not like a lottery ticket. Give one shot and hope that it works. It doesn't work like that. Career needs a clear strategy. They don't just do the work, they make sure the right people know the work that is happening for them. They don't just attend meetings, they show up in meetings where decisions about people are being made. They don't wait for their manager to pitch for them. They give their managers the exact bullet points and the script to make that pitch on your behalf. See, that is a huge difference. Instead, you have been sitting there quietly hoping to be discovered. That strategy has never worked for anyone. So here is the move. Starting this week, I want you to do one thing differently. Identify the one person above your manager, right? And whose opinion actually matters for your growth. It could be your skip level manager, it could be a department head, a VP, someone who sits in the room where promotion decisions actually can happen. Now, what you're going to do is once a month, if you can, I would push it to about once a week, but once a month at least, send that person a brief update. I call this the impact brief, not a brag, not a laundry list. Just 3 lines is all you need to send them. Here's what I worked on, here's the result, and here's what I'm building next. That's it. Once a month, 3 lines. Most people will never do this. They'll think it's too forward. What will they think about me? Or not my place to send this out. Nobody has asked me this. Or my manager should be doing this on my behalf. And that's exactly why you're still waiting for a promotion that isn't coming. People who grow are not necessarily the most talented people, or they definitely aren't the most hardworking either. They are the most visible, not in a loud, obnoxious way, in a strategic, consistent way. They make themselves impossible to overlook. And here's what's interesting. When you do this consistently, if you're taking down notes, underline the word consistency. Your manager sees it too. Suddenly, they start talking about you differently in their meetings because you've given them the material to pitch you with. You've done the work. Now you're also doing the visibility. I have actually built an AI prompt that can help you with this impact brief. It is a simple Google Doc. There are some blank spots that you need to fill in with some of your details specific to you. And once you fill it in and copy that entire prompt onto your favorite chatbot, it will give you a really powerful, crisp impact brief that you can use to simplify this process of sending the email. If you want that, please type impact in the comments and I'll send it to you. So here's the question I want to leave you with. Of the 3 moves I discussed today, leading with the recommendation, mastering the 30-second rule, or the monthly skip level update, which one have you never tried? Which one feels the most uncomfortable? Drop it in the comments. Just say move 1, 2, or 3. Because here's what I know. The move that feels most uncomfortable, that's usually the one that will change your career the fastest. Lastly, if you like this video, people, please subscribe to the channel. It helps me a lot. It doesn't cost you anything. I bring new career promotion strategies every week, so hit that bell icon. And if you want me to cover any specific topic and you want to be part of this channel and come into this channel as a guest, please let me know on the comments. Please reach out to me on my website, links in the description.